everyone. So I don't know if you can actually tell because it's a little bit too large to fit in frame, but I am sitting behind my first elevated garden bed for the back garden. So I am incredibly excited. So I figured today I would give you a bit of information about this bed because it's the first time I'm having a raised bed or elevated bed in my garden that's not from Grownomics. So all of the other beds in the front garden are from the brand Grownomics, which I started with the first one in 2019. I think I found it at Home Depot, and then I ordered the rest of them directly through the Grownomics website. Now my original plan was to get multiples of one of the lowest raised beds from Grownomics. Actually, let me take you outside and I'll show you the raised bed that I was hoping to get some more of. This is the Grownomics bed that I was hoping to find online and order more of, but I just couldn't find them anymore. And this was the first one I got back in 2019, whereas the other ones, you can see the height difference between them. So I liked the idea that it was lower to the ground, and that way I can have like my giant zinnias that I think I'm gonna grow in there, kind of going up and then peeking over the top, kind of how the sunflowers did in this bed. So yeah, this is what I was originally looking for. So yeah, basically I couldn't find the one I wanted, so I got one that is a very similar, I think almost identical size. So it's about 50 inches wide from end to end. There's about 12 inches deep of actual like potting area, and then probably 14 inches tall off of the ground. Now, let me give you a bit of backstory about expanding my garden and how I was looking for a certain type of raised bed. I'm also moving you closer because it felt weird talking to you from across the raised bed. So basically, I started off with my garden telling myself I'm going to contain everything to just the front deck because it's not just my home, so I don't want to take over all of the outdoor spaces with gardens, but now I am. So here's the plan for the back. I want it to be more of a formal garden, and basically what I mean by that is I'll have just a few raised beds, not as many small individual pots kind of placed around. I'm going to save that more for my main garden up front. I'm not going to have as many like crops in the back either, so I just wanted to have some of the raised beds with some really pretty flowers, and I'll still harvest the flowers and use them for bouquets and things like that, but I just want it to be a bit more like a formal garden area than like a working garden, although they might end up looking both very similar by the time I'm done with it next year. Also, speaking of that, yes, it is November. And no, I will not be planting anything in these this year, but yes, I went ahead and got them anyway. And that's because I'm the kind of person who I have a really hard time making a permanent decision, but the moment I see something that is exactly what I want, I know it immediately, if that makes sense. So it takes me a long time to make a decision, but then as soon as I see the correct thing that I need or the right path, I'm good to go. Also, these were on sale, so I wanted to go ahead and get them while they were on sale. I'm still going to plan to store them outside because there's nowhere to keep them inside. They are staying for the weather, so they should be good, but I might add a tarp to them just because it's the first winter and I want to keep them a little bit safer in the winter, even though I know they'll be fine outside, but just because they're new, I might give them, a little extra TLC. So let me now tell you kind of about what I went through deciding which ones I wanted, options that did not work, and then how I found these raised beds. So, like I said, I know I wanted something more formal, but I really liked the size and shape of the Grownomics ones. So when I couldn't find the same Grownomics ones, I was thinking, well, should I get some like custom planters? And I saw a really beautiful company. I don't know if I can remember the name. It's Kimball and something. I'll link it down below or put in some pictures. And they had just really beautiful custom raised beds. And I think they actually make them in Illinois. So I was like, oh, that'd be great. Custom beds, local company in Illinois, perfect. But when I actually kind of researched it a little bit more, I realized it was, one, a lot more expensive than I want to put into the garden that I might change, every few years. So putting that much money into something that I would need to be dedicated to for multiple years to kind of make up for that money made me a little bit nervous. Also, they were way too heavy. So I think they said it would be definitely over 100 pounds. I don't think there's any way we could have gotten those up there without a lot of help. I don't want to add too much weight to the deck. And so I went searching for other alternatives. And somebody recommended that Wayfair has really great garden beds. Now, I often say raised beds, but I find it's much more accurate if you're searching online for elevated beds, because raised beds tend to be beds that don't have a bottom that you put directly onto your soil in your yard. When I search for elevated beds, I find things with a bottom. So I need a bottom because I am on a deck. So I search for elevated beds, and that tends to give me better results. And that is when I saw the bed that is next to me. And this bed, again, I found it on Wayfair. I don't know if on Wayfair it listed a particular brand, but what I do anytime I find something that I really like is I'll take a screenshot of it and then I will Google search for it. And what that'll do is it'll pull up typically a bunch of other retailers that are selling that same product, and then you can look at the price differences. So I actually ordered this raised bed off of the website, the Charming Bench Company, and I think it's actually like them that makes it, and then Wayfair is a reseller. That might be a little bit inaccurate, but it seems like, at least from the best of my knowledge, that these are actually made by the Charming Bench Company. So I've never had beds from them before. A few differences is these come pre-assembled, which is great. The Gronomics beds, you do have to put together. It takes 10 minutes and I can do it on my own, but it is nice just to have it all pre-assembled here. It looks a little bit nicer as well. I'll kind of insert clips as I'm talking about the bed so you can see it and not just my face. But also it just looks really nice. It looks a bit more kind of put together than the Gronomics bed. And there wasn't much of a price difference. Let me actually pull up my phone because I think they are still on sale. So the reason why I went with ordering them directly from the Charming Bench Company is because they did have a sale going on. That was another reason for me buying them immediately instead of waiting until next spring. But for these, I got the size extra large. So let me pull up that information and the pricing. So they do have a few sizes. I think there are 4 different sizes. Mine is the extra large 50-inch planter. It's extra large, wide and tall. So it's originally $335, on sale for $234. So 30% off. And I don't think that was too much more expensive than the Gronomics beds. I think the Gronomics beds are around like the $200 range. A little bit more for the largest one that I have in the center of my garden, but similar price-wise. It looks really great. I like the idea of kind of the natural wood. This is a cedar wood and it is stained, so it'll hold up to the elements. So I think it's going to be a really good fit for the back garden. Also, in terms of weight, my husband did carry these upstairs in the box. I still have one in a box that I will unbox with you to show you the packaging because I think it was really well packaged. But these I can actually pick up and move around myself, which I also don't think I can really do with the Gronomics beds once they were all put together. Now, after there's soil in here, I will not be able to move it on my own or probably move it at all. But at least now, like, I can pick it up, kind of figure out what spots might work for this bed, and where I put them this fall might not be where they stay. I also got a little insert with it, so let me read that to you. So this says, oh, I thought this was interesting. It also said this, something similar on the website. For best results, it is recommended that plants or trees used in the cedar planters be pre-potted in plastic pots to help prevent water staining, extend the life of the planter. It also makes it easier for changing the plants for seasonal purposes. I'm not doing that. I'm not pre-potting things and planting them in there. I am using this to garden and grow flowers. So I will be putting the soil directly into the planter. It also says if you choose to plant directly in the planter, it is recommended, but not necessary, that a liner be used to line the inside of the planter before adding soil. I don't know if I'm going to add a liner for sure. The Gronomics one's another difference, come with liners, but the raised bed I got last year, I was scratching the soil all the way down in the raised bed, and that liner is gone. So all of my liners that were in those Gronomics beds have disintegrated within a year or two, so that's why I don't know if it's worth getting a liner for this. Again, that's a decision I can make next spring before I fill this up and start planting. Another difference too is in Gronomics, there are slats on the bottom that you put together, and they don't touch. So you have about, I'd say, an inch gap between each wooden slat, and that's where it drains out of. This is much more kind of put together of a piece, and there are drainage holes in the bottom of it. So again, a few differences between the two raised beds. Obviously, I like Grownomics. I know that they worked for 3 years in my garden. 4 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. I guess this was the 4th year with them. This Charming Bench company I've never bought from before, so I can't say for sure do they work just as well, but I mean, I think they're both cedar wooden boxes, so I don't know how much a difference there can be, but we'll see. So I like the look of these. I like the weight of them. I like the size of them. I can't tell you how it is growing in them yet, but hopefully it goes just as well as my front garden. So now I'm going to move this one outside that's next to me, and then I think we'll open up the second one and get that one outside also. I probably should have opened both doors to get that out, but weight-wise, completely easy for me to carry on my own. Before I show you it outside, because I want to get the other one opened and placed, let's get the second box open, and then we'll get them both outside. Here they are. They're outside, and I'm so excited. I can already just imagine the zinnias growing up and just having that beautiful church in the background. Oh, I'm so happy. So I don't know how many times in this video I've already said I am excited, but let me say it one more time. I am excited. There's just this feeling, and it's almost a little different than just excitement, but I can't really describe it, but there's this feeling I get every time I put a new raised bed in my garden that there's just more magic I'm going to be able to create now that I have this space. I don't know if that sounds hokey or not, but that is how I feel, and that's how I feel right now. My original plan, and I might still order another one. Actually, let me take you back over there, because my original plan was to line the whole thing, like the whole back wall, with raised beds, but I don't know. Let me show you, let me know what you think. So based on the length of the beds and the length of the wall, grow bags I need to clean out. Raspberry bush, which may or may not live back here next year, but based on the length, I think I could fit 4 of these raised beds. So this whole wall would be one line of planters, but I don't know if that's more what I want, or if I want like a planter, a pot, like maybe my raspberry bush or something here, and then another planter also. And you can kind of see this over here with my other pots to clean out, but you can see how there's a shadow that goes diagonally down there, which won't be as bad in the summer when the sun is higher up in the sky, but it still does cast a bit of a shadow. So this is the shadiest part. So I'm wondering if I even had like the raised bed all the way up in the corner. The plants, when they're lower than the wall, would barely get any sun. I don't know if they would get any at all. So that's something I also have to think about. Like, can I really plant something shorter back there, or will I need something that's taller and more established? I don't know. Some things to think about, but that's why I thought it was good to start with 2, because I know I will use these for sure. So I think that's going to be everything for this video. It doesn't feel like I did a lot in terms of like actually changing a lot in the garden or doing a lot of tasks, but getting this bed or these 2 beds into my garden is completely game changing. Like, I'm going to have almost a completely different gardening experience, more opportunities for next year. So I'm really excited. My plan is to put more like pretty cohesive beds together. So I'm thinking, I know in my seed video, I'm thinking the very tall, like burgundy colored zinnias mixed with some of the like light apricot and lavender asters. I don't know exactly yet, but I'm gonna put more time and effort into making these beds look pretty compared to the front garden where I'm kind of just like throwing things in that I want to grow and harvest from. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes next year, but I am glad to have these beds. We'll see if I add any more, but thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.